This is Calcat, the Calcatster. And we are a couple of weeks away from Fanime 2025. I've completed the Star Trek stories on the other channel. The Legacy series and Legacy technically ended. This last episode was like technically like an addition to the other ending. The other ending was really a party story. Did another one for fun. Consider it's canon, but it's just for fun. It happened, so it's the finale. But yeah, it's not a like epic finale. It's just a finale. Because there's going to be more of those of some kind later on. It also completed the Vanguard Space. Now we had to retitle it. It's called Advanced Guard because everybody's used Vanguards for something. And we have the Canary one, the Canary Space one, which no one's used. We have 4 Canary ones and 3 Vanguard ones. Brand new movies. 7 movies with those, and another 3 movies with those. We had End of Legacy, in 2024 late and early 2025, about 8 movies, and so we've done quite a lot. I've done quite a lot of movies on the channel. Calcat and Mark's Cards channel. I don't think Mark's Cards had much of a cameo in that. He had more cameos in the old Transformers Rush stuff and lexicons and that type of thing. Actually, one of the biggest lexicons fans because of memory issues with my mother, who was watching it lexicons on the TV back in the day, 2 years ago. But yeah, she's passed. So yeah, over a year ago. So there was always so what this is sort of is a what we're gonna do next kind of very preliminary, very early on stages deal. It's not clickbait. It's real quick. We are going back to next story that will be in production during probably right after Fanime is another alt Transformers story. Actually in production, unlike Orville. Jokingly, I was watching the last thing we did for alt Transformers Mush, Shared Hallucinations, followed by Lexicons. That's on this channel. Followed by the Robotech one. We ended up doing the Sentinels one. The T.L. Aaron's stories lent themselves very well to a revisionist version of the Sentinels. I think it worked quite well. A Trans-Tech Sentinels story. The Lexicons was very good. It's the most popular one. All Transformers Rush, 3rd. We did a lot of those. We did over 40 episodes. So yeah. So even though we don't get a lot of subscribers, I should get more subscribers because subscribe to the channel. Because we used to have more during the Channel Awesome days. We had a lot more, but now we don't have hardly any. We're not influencers anymore. But when we go to the conventions like Fanime, there's Calcat. Some people even dress up as Calcat. Happens every year. There's the Calcat. There's at least 1 or 2. We might get Mark's Cards at Fanime. We'll see. As well, we'll see. Later on is Disneyland in August, so that means that it happens to be Disneyland is probably going to be right after GalaxyCon, so we can't do GalaxyCon and Disneyland. We're probably not doing GalaxyCon at all, unless Disneyland is later. Then we can do GalaxyCon. But yeah, it's not a big Star Trek one at GalaxyCon this year. There's just 1 or 2 Star Trek guys, and there's some other people, but it's different this year. It's not as interesting. There's a lesser sequel to last year. If we do go, it's one day. And we won't buy anything probably. I was looking over the next Transformers story, and I was jokingly thinking, let's do Lord of the Flies meets the Transformers. I kept mentioning that. No, we're not really doing that. That fan story, we're not doing that. No, it's just kind of, no, not doing that. So you see, unlike Grimes over there at the convention he was at, I admit that that would be a joke, clearly, and I would say it to the audience and say, well, that's a joke, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that story, no. So there's nothing else, no. So yeah, real quickie, Karda. Looking back at the Karda action figures, the cardboard robots, pretty much every iteration that we brought back the Karda. The first one in '86, and the second one in '94, the third one in Trans Tech in 2002 to 2005, the fourth one in 2021. And we had all those other ones in there because they weren't really part of Space Bridge in that series, 2015. They weren't there. Not really. Yeah, they weren't there. So they weren't in that one. So yeah, there was a jump. Well, there's been another jump of 4 years. And it's time to tackle them again, but this time sort of a reboot. It's kind of funny, I was looking at that shared hallucinations thing, and it's technically, that was the name of the episode, and it technically is a reboot, because if you're taking the original Trans Saga and Trans 2, mashing them together with Karda, you're creating a reboot. That's what it was a reboot. It's a 2.5 hour movie. It's a reboot. That's what it was. I don't know why I didn't want to call it that. That's what it was. It was a reboot. But it's a reboot in that, okay, it's like a new generation gets to watch this and have fun watching it. And that's fine. But yeah, the same thing with the Karda thing. I have a list of the Karda characters. I'm not going to read them off because someone will inevitably steal them. It'll happen. It'll just happen that way, and they'll make their own version. There was an excellent Karda movie already. Well, there was Robots years ago. That was very similar. Many years ago, 20 years ago almost. There was Robots. Last year, there was something called The Good Robot, which was essentially a Karda. She's a Karda. So that's why we liked it. She's a Karda. But she's a Karda. Yeah, so a revisionist Karda story. The wooden figures, instead of building them, people started making them. So, purchased some. Said, yes. Even the executive producer, Dan, liked that. Spend about go out there and get some figures. He buys Warhammer action figures, but I buy little plastic, I buy Transformers, but also little wooden guys. Got the Karda. That's a great idea. I was just gonna go and do it. He didn't suggest it, but I'm saying I should go and do it, so I did. Yeah, because they're not going to build them, and I think the idea of them literally meeting the Transformers kind of diminishes it a little bit in that. So this is a sort of a making of the Karda thing. So this is going to air later. It's now May 14th, 15th. What is it? 14th. It's now May 14th. So this particular video is gonna air later on when they're doing the making of the Karda thing. It's not going up on the channel yet, because what if it doesn't happen? It most likely will. Yeah. So yeah, we've got about a faction of maybe. I wrote down every Karda on the list here. The Karda list. Okay. You got a faction of 40 good guys, 20 good guys, 20 bad guys. Looks like many of them are gestalts, which we can't build. Some cats and dogs, they're enemies. But in the Karda story, originally the cats were the good guys, the dogs were the bad guys. Usually in films, if they do the cat and dog thing, usually the dogs are the good guys. No, the dogs should be the bad guys. There won't be any dogs and cats this time. There'll just be similar traits to them this time. So there'll be that kind of character. The way that the robot figures, the way I envision them in the rewrite, you can kind of do whatever you want. Clean slate, because at the end of the last story 4 years ago, the Karda that went into the space battle with the Robotechs and the Transformers on the planet at Area 51 in the story, they were all killed. So do whatever you want. So just take a group of other ones. Yeah. the Rosmocoms or something. Some of them are still alive. Yeah. Be funny to have them back. Just to have them back. Other ones emulating them. Sparks reactivate or something. Transformers reactivate. If that had been a game, it would have been great to call it Karda reactivate. But that game got canceled, so we can't call it that. Transformers Legacy is over, and now they're going over to switching over to Power of the Primes or something. And the Primes are all small, and they're like not leader class. It's kind of annoying. And they have QA issues. Yeah. Also, yes, since this is going to air much later, Johnny's not coming until July, so technically, it'll be done by then. I hope it'll be done in June, late May, early June. Well, early June. We're putting it in June. Here's the thing. To come up with a script, come up with a story, not using any of the Mush Transformers characters. Script. The idea that Transformers show up and meet with them, like having Star Trek people meet with Vanguard, some of the cousins at the end. In the other story, you don't want to do that because it diminishes it. It diminishes the story. If you have to introduce other characters at the last hour to go like, oh, yeah, our characters don't have enough of a story here, so yeah, the Autobots show up and they continue the story with the Autobots helping them. That's not as cool as saying like, okay, let's give them their own story, their own saga, reboot origin thingy. I'm gonna call it Karda the Reboot. It would be appropriate. They're robots. They call it Karda Hard Reboot. I was gonna call it Karda Over the Rise, and then I thought that's a little too weird and esoteric. Reboot is funnier. Cold boot. Cold boot. Clang. Yes, but it's not really dark. I'm sure it's going to be funny. And it isn't just, a battle to kill a bunch of wooden action figures. Because I want them to survive this one. And have, like, origin story. Back story. And I was thinking, like, how am I going to make the vehicle forms and all that stuff and put them on the robots and all that. And looking at the other people have made vehicle former wooden transformers. People do that now. They're not very good. I think a Cal-Cat version of that would be best to take the Transtech 2 idea and say, okay, body shells. Yeah, the robot inside is a robot. It goes inside like the Breastmasters. Not the Headmasters so much, but the Breastmasters from Master Force, from the Japanese. They go inside and they drive the vehicle around. The vehicle is actually separate. So bus man. Can't call him Bussy Man anymore. For obvious reasons, a bussy is something else that has nothing to do with a bus. Yeah, let's just say that. Don't look that up, by the way. We didn't know when we thought of this character originally. We were just thinking bus. Man. Bussy bot. That sounds gross too. Yeah, there's characters like that. And he's going to be in there. We're just going to rename him so he's not say that. Oh, yeah, and also the Rise of the Beasts had a scene in it that was edited out. You've probably seen it on YouTube. My character, Transitron, who shows up and fights Optimus Prime. Because they acknowledge, yes, we know about your channel. We're putting that in there. And then the Hasbro people are like, we're taking that out. Put this fan film character in there, come on. But they should make Transitron so that I can buy one and paint it yellow so it's school bus man. He's the magic school bus or jail bus bot or one of those. We'll paint him gray. Transitron. Transitron was actually the Gestalt though in the original story. He was a Gestalt. He was several buses and a light rail train that merged into a big Gestalt. That's what he's supposed to be, a Gestalt. I built the light rail Recons and all the other ones for the movies. There's several ones that sound really gay. FlameCon and Flametron and whatever. Glazod. But yes, they named some names there. But they're in the story. Yeah, I wanted to give them funny names too. I wanted to give them something to do. Of course, here's a name we can't use. StarCraft. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm thinking of a video game from the 90s. Well, when I was 16, that video game didn't exist. It was the 80s. But later on, by the 90s, by 1992, I should have been like, oh, I can't use that. What am I doing? But yes, Scratch. That kind of sounds dirty. Yes. And Beast Mix was one of them. He was featured in an episode of Beast Mix. So I'm figuring, I get all the action figures. They got little wooden guys. Just wooden guys, template, either articulated template, larger ones, or the smaller ones that aren't as articulated. And then paint them all up as the core robot to each one of them. And have them, about 5 inches for the tall ones, about 3 inches for the little ones. And have them have a thing. No, it's not Lord of the Flies. It really isn't. That would be dumb. Not doing that. That wouldn't be fun. That would be just dark, twisted. But yes, pitiable. This guy. That's gonna happen. His next order, Smashbot. That kind of sounds dirty. Smashbot. Yeah, there's some funny names in here. Of course, Air Flyer. Can't use Air Flight. So it's got to be something slightly different. Chemtron. Actually, the Ghostbusters Transformers crossover would be perfect as a retooled as a Chemtron. Or actually, because that's a retool of a heavy retool of a Hotspot. So yeah, it would be a Hotspot or Grapple, but it would have like a chem tank on the back. Yeah, so it would be Grapple. Would be better analogy. But yeah, I'm not gonna do a Grapple. I may build vehicle shells for them, just to have them have shells. I'm not gonna bother giving them wheels and stuff. I didn't do that in the original either, because you never saw them transform into a vehicle. Probably wondering about that all Transformers much as well. And the reason you never saw them transforming into a vehicle and driving around is because that looks really fake. Really, really fake. It throws the scale off if you have the Transformers in car mode driving around. You've probably seen other fan film things that have done that and done it well, but you've probably seen fan films do that and done it well. But ours are done cheap, real quick. So yeah, it takes them forever by their own admonition. Some of those stop motion things that are 5-10 minutes long, they spent months on that stuff. Not doing that. But push the transformer along, stop the camera. Push the transformer along, stop the camera. No. Go motion. Don't. Stop motion. These cameras can't do that. There's some. I don't think we need a BART bot this time around. Sort of another train bot. Although they have built some really cool Transformer train bot KO third-party guys. They've been reviewed on occasion by Imgo, a freaking geek, as one of the reviewers. Thew's awesome reviews as well. Done some cool stuff, and some of the KOs have been reviewed by Phelan Porteous as well. And it's hilarious when he does it, because he's like, what were they doing? Weird Transformer crossover with, what is this? So the Karda are not meant to be like a dark, brooding, like cold, like a thing. They're supposed to be fun. And you want to make the characters have personality that is different from Transformers. Have them do something different from Transformers. And have their own movie before they meet up with the Transformers. Because that's cooler. But then they meet up with the Transformers. And they're like, oh, there's the Transformers. If you get the humans rebuilt them or something. Do they have sparks? Maybe we could explore that. The Dinobots seem to have sparks. But that was before sparks, so do they? The personality components and the cubes, to make the Combaticons? Did they have, or are they sparks, essentially? There's sparks. I guess they were supposed to be. But then Vector Sigma can create them without sparks and give them life. So how does, so the G1 and G2 continuities are different. The Beast Wars continuity is different. They're connected, but loosely. The arc, although blowing up the Optimus Prime's head in that one episode, they had to fix it because that was directly connected to the continuity for some reason. And the millions of years never made any sense, but then again, in the original Karda, I jumped billions of years just to make it look more different. I don't know what I was thinking. And then retconned it. And then in 1994, in the retconned version, when they've built another character, carrier, come back to Earth with the new carrier, which didn't really look that good, and they land there. And apparently, they rebuilt it looks like they took the evil Karda spaceship and built it into their ship, and all got inside it and flew off at the end because the JUS Cat was destroyed, so they couldn't use that. They didn't use the first carrier, so they built another one, and then they came back to Earth, and then they all get slaughtered by the Transformers and themselves. Including the infamous scene in which one of them is run over by a car. I put a car out on the driveway, Mark's cars, and I filmed the scene where I back up onto the Transformer and crush it with the wheel. Don't do that. There was entirely supervision on that. 1994. Yes, and don't set fire to them in your backyard either. Although years later we did find the charred remains. The deck was rebuilt. Found the charred remains of the Transformers. Yeah, he burned a bunch of Transformers out of here. They're all melted plastic. There's just a charred husk in the ground. Yes, yeah. So yeah, yeah, so I was talking about Karda. By the time you see this as part of the thing, you can use the name Karda with a K because it has several meanings. Karda with a C kind of doesn't make sense. It's with a K. It kind of makes sense in a cool sort of way because there's I think it's a Pakistani knife, little utility knife is a Karda. Also, there's another language that translates it into it's like a greeting, and there's another one that's a band. It's obviously not that. Karda and something else. Karda. There's I love Karda with a heart. That was used as a gag wall. You can do lots of things with that. Yeah, and the action figures will be cute, but also deadly. So yes, and now that it's the 2025, you have the technology of those other Kardas is interesting because you have a character that was sort of a drone that goes around and flies around. They made a Transformer called Twitch in Earthspark. You had a Karda drone, and it predates a drone. You had several battle vehicles of various kinds that could do things. Some of them were Lego inspired. Before they had Space Lego, it was 86, and then later on when they had later ones, they just didn't use the Lego ones later on because that would have been silly. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff that got updated. The material bots were 92, 93, and they were in Generation 2, and then the later 94 ones. The gunship was a sort of copter Karda and all that. Yeah, so a helicopter Karda is problematic because you have to have whirling blades, and that doesn't make any sense. We can't do that. So yeah, some characters just don't make sense now. But it's interesting that they were there. What we were doing, sort of like G.I. Joes if they built Transformers basically of their own, and Strawberry built Transformers of his own. And yes, there was an opening there because they're watching the OG one and then the other one. Going like, oh, some of these guys weren't killed. There were a bunch of characters called Little Robots. They were never killed. nephew, yeah, would like that. Yeah, all the little robots, cool. Update the little robots. Sure, that'd be awesome. It won't be obnoxious at all. Ooh, it's sort of the the premise of the childlike robots running around, but they're adults. So, it's sort of like that South Park, Simpsons, South Park idea, but they're not like swearing. They're just adults. They're just little robots. They're just physically like little people. They're dwarves. No, they're not. They're little people. They're not. They're robots. So they can be there too. Because they had mini Autobots. They had mini cons, right? And mini Autobots, the OG one, and they came to mini cons later on. They're Unicron cells, you see. Yeah, the other one. This doesn't really make any sense, but okay, fine. Yeah, Karda, it's got to be its own thing, and I'll be getting ready to the story. It hasn't been written yet. I'm going to put a neat story that has them doing stuff. And we introduced to 2 new versions of them with the same names. It's like, because it's all brand spanking new to the new generation. They don't know anything about. They can have the same names. And they're like, oh, yeah. I'll just like nonchalantly explain, oh, that one was school bus bot, but it's not a school bus. What happened there? And go like, oh, my vehicle mode was lost in the battle. Or something. Something like that. Yeah. Because we totally do that. We have shell formers, like pretenders. It's kind of what you're doing, pretenders. Yeah, but cool pretenders. Cool pretenders. Yes, cool pretenders. Dun, 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 dun. Cool pretenders. Actually, the Karda and Transtech were the first to do the female Autobots. Hasbro had not made an RC action figure yet, or any of the other ones. 2002. Yep, the first. They didn't have an RC action figure until the Michael Bay movies, and then they started making some of them. The car ones from Generations was pretty good. The other one that's actually a little better than the Legacy one. And then there's like a later RC and a bunch of other ones. And then they have Chromia and Moonracer. But they still don't have it quite right. They made them a Gestalt as part of Elita 1 and the Gestalt later on. It's like, we don't need to do that here. I'm just saying that they're technically Karda. There's also a weird connection way back in the day during the original run. By Battle of the Alicom, the Transformers had introduced the Target Masters. The Karda. The Karda had already introduced in '86 Misfire. Let's think on the Misfire. The obvious name is gonna be similar to tank. Misfire, but MISS fire, like Ms. Fire, which is joke, dad joke, bad dad joke. Dad probably named it. Misfire, but Transformers also had a Misfire. They came out with one. I remember being annoyed in '87 about the toy, but this toy is ripping me off. I'm thinking, like, I'm 17 years old. I doubt they're ripping me off. They probably don't know who I am. Back in the day. Then I was just going with it. It's like they had the crossovers. I went with it. Around 1997, 10 years later, there was a brief robot design contest for the Transformittals. And Transmetal Dinobot is a Calcat design. They might say that it's 2 other people, but no, it's a Calcat design. I found the picture for like 95, 96. It looks like it's Transmetal Dinobot. It's pretty much the same dude. It's real close. It's basically Beast Mix, but he's like a raptor. Beast Mix raptor. Terravac. Yeah, but a different guy. But yeah, there's some cross-pollination. There always has been. But there's also cross-pollination with the other ones. There's the fans that got to make Windblade to annoy everybody. There's a Red Wing and a Hot Link and some other ones, some names that popped in there. Fans. There's most recently Firak from the comic books that was put in there because somebody's a Mush fan. and that's awesome. Of course, I went and bought that toy immediately when I saw it. Firak, yes. Oh, we have a Firak. Awesome. He's not a Karda, though. He's a Cyclonus from variant. Also, a Metal Hawk is a Cyclonus variant, but he's a Karda. Metal Hawk was a Karda. Yeah, right here in the list, Metal Hawk. Yep. Blue Hawk, but it's Metal Hawk. No. Yeah, it's the same guy. So yeah, there's been a lot of crossover. So yeah. And since this is not going up right away, I'm just gonna put it in the box. Yeah, so doing more Transformers at 4 years. Should be interesting to see what I come up with. Actually, it hasn't been 4 years though, because it's been 4 years since that Karda story, but it's been a little over 2 years since the last episode. 2 years, 1 year and a half. The last episode was, let's see, what's the last? It'd be a year, less than a year and a half. Less than a year. Been a year. I guess it's roughly been a year. The stuff that was a little dark, but not that dark. But those few episodes of that other one, and some other additional early 2000s stories, were like some of these are good, but I'm gonna save them. I'm gonna do them later in something else. And I was like, I'm gonna put these in the Sentinel story. Make this whole thing with the family of the Witwickies and their offspring. I'm gonna switch them from the Witwickies to the because it didn't make sense as the Witwickies. They were out of character. And the film noir detective and all that stuff. It'd be great as a G.I. Joe story, yes, but instead of that, G.I. Joe Transformer story, instead of making it them, make it Robotech people. Make it the Sterlings during the Sentinels. Then it fits. It fit perfectly. It was synergy. It was perfect. Dana Sterling and Aurora and their Odyssey. It just fit. It was like chef's kiss. It worked so well. The bad guy in there worked so well. I think it was a Cobra Commander from the movies. G.I. Joe live action movies. And he was disguised as something else. So it was the other Cobra Commander. One of his clones. Yeah. That was funny. But yeah, we did the dealer and stuff. We toned him down. We didn't make it originally. The doppelganger stories were of Testament was the name of the stories. There's his byline, Testament. He doesn't care either way. He's like, yeah, Testament. Good luck trying to do that. It's kind of impossible. But if you want to try it, sure. But that was a while back. But yes, the one that we did copy twice was, I think, a Meadows script that was for a simulation of the Borg. The Transformers meets Star Trek story was had the short story version of Assimilations in there. That's the last act. And we'd done something similar to that in one of the other stories. Yes, that was repeated, but they changed some things around in the other version. So we're not doing this Karda thing as Star Trek meets the Transformers. That would be, again, diminish the characters and their appearance. I find that if you put too many characters in a story, then you have to explain why they're there. Unlike what they do in these Marvel movies, where they just throw everybody in there until it sticks. You don't want to do that. You don't want literally all 40 robots running around constantly in the story, for example, because then it diminishes the other ones. You have archetypes in a robot story, in a sci-fi robot story that you want to put together, and if you don't use them, it doesn't make sense. The good one, the bad one, the good guy or bad guy, spiritual guy. There's always some kind of mentor guy, mentee thing going on. There's always a flaky one, a goofy one, something else. There's always you got all the stereotypes. There's a double spy. There's a secret agent. There's they got all kind of stuff. There's a heroic leader, the brave knight one or something. All that stuff. Yeah, that's the way it works. And you don't want to do Lord of the Flies. Always stupid. Don't do that. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna write my own thing. Mark's cards will be tomorrow. You won't see that because you'll be watching this later. But yeah, we will discuss the Karda, its return. Because I bet I could make an actual Karda movie where it isn't just we kill all of them in 90 minutes. I bet I could come up with something where it's an origin, not an ending, an origin story. Unlike M. Night Shyamalan in Glass, that was not an origin story. That was a finale. I don't know. I called it an origin story in the movie. It was not. They die. That is the opposite of an origin story. That is an ending. Not a very good one, but it's an ending. Yeah, this is a beginning, not an ending. I'm not saying it could be a trilogy. I'm not saying that. But yeah, knowing how prolific the cat stirs at coming up with something, we'll outline something that will be amazing and then put it together. Yes, have a script in mind, dialogue in mind. Don't just wing it like the last episode of the Q, the thing. They don't just wing it, because it's not gonna come out good. Don't just rush it to production, because then it would be like, oh, we'll just kill them all off. No. Yeah, the other ones were unique though. The first one told the message of their origins and all that stuff, and the other sort of spin-off, Generation Scorned, was the Trans 2 version. In there, they come back, they get rebuilt, and then that must have been when they built the ship to be later on in 1994. And then they realized they're not billions of years in the future. They realized they're only in 2015, the far off year 2015, 11 years after the story, and that it's not that far off. In 1994. And they realize this, and they have a spiritual awakening, epiphany. They meet a space deity that tells them this, and then they proceed to crucify him because he's a false deity, and they destroy him. That won't happen this time because it's already happened twice, 3 times, in 3 different stories. If anything, the magician guy should probably be able to get away with that and escape. But yes, your robots figured, and they were always a little overscaled too. It wasn't very large. They don't need to be very large. They should be about 5 inches tall, 3 to 5 inches, because that's easier to film. Now, not too small though. If they're 2 inches, they're too small. 3 to 5 inches is just barely on the edge of the size of G.I. Joe or the size of the modern Transformers. So you can put them all in a box, and they're all in a box. Yeah, a lot of the original Karda were, some of them were recycled into some of the furniture and chairs and backgrounds in Chimera. A lot of them were actually. I think it was a 30%. And then that was recycled, and then generations later they recycled more of it. I think they threw away everything from Legacies. It's completely gone. Some of the furniture was repurposed as part of a ship. So yeah, they should rebuild that, because none of the scale worked for any of them. Anyway. Yeah. So yeah, the scale was off. Scale. It kind of works for the G.I. Joes, but it kind of didn't. The JWS cat can come back. Well, it just so happens that if we're in the generation in the series where the Robotech ship came back in 2038 in this version, before the Invid War, and the Invid War never happened in this timeline because the other SDF-3 came back. 2018 changed all that when the Invid Queen messed with space-time and was defeated. So she never actually fights them in the future, and the Invid War doesn't happen. It goes back to being three discrete Robotech stories. So the SDF-3A, which was rebuilt from the other one, it's a different ship, goes on the Sentinels missions in this version and comes back in 2038. That could be the ship. Why not? Or it could be another ship. It doesn't have to be connected. It can be a different timeline. Yeah, it could be 2025. And it's just another timeline, and they're back. Yay! It doesn't have to be connected to the other ones. The Dinobots were sent on a mission in the 2020s to go find something. Maybe they find their planet. Maybe that's what it is. But that again would diminish it though, because the Dinobots would be. The only way that would work is they get the whole story's done. It's at the end, and everything's done with in the story, and then off in the distance, just before the credits roll, the light of a spaceship goes, and the commander guy goes, "Oh, a spaceship. I wonder who they are." And they don't say. They roll credits. And it's got an Autobot symbol. Da-dun, da-dun, dun, da-dun, da-dun, dun, 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 dun. So it's the Cloverfield Lane ending, only better. Instead of the Cloverfield ship being blown up by a lady with a Molotov cocktail, which makes no sense, they did the Battlefield Earth ending. They should have just had her leave the bunker and see the ship landing, roll credits. That would have been a better ending. So I'd be like, okay, she's not going to fight the ship because it's an alien ship. She can't do that. She's a human. She's not a robot. Well, originally that story wasn't Cloverfield at all. Originally it was just evil prepper guy in a bunker, and it ends with her escaping. Originally, the original ending is that she just escapes. Roll credit. That was the original ending. As for that space station one, they also named Cloverfield. It wasn't a Cloverfield movie. It was just an evil space station that tries to kill them. Just a space attack or whatever. Yeah, and disposable characters everywhere, like Karda kind of people. Donnie Spurs returns like the other guy from. No, Donnie Spurs does not return like in Silly Trek, when the other guy when Coddle returned. No, that wouldn't make sense, because in Silly Trek, Coddle can return in the Q continuum because he's like a Q-like, but there's no Q in Transformers, so that can't happen. Yeah, he didn't get resurrected. He's gone. He dead. He's absolutely dead. Burger's dead too. They dead. They dead. And I would like to see Alacom again. That'd be great. Alacom. Yep, look at all the Transformers, got them all out. Discovered that all my G1s are gone. All of the G1s are gone. I must have sold all of them. Like there's very little. There's like imitation G1s, yes. And Armada is all gone. Cybertron's all gone. Energon's all gone. Almost all gone. There's some. I've had one or two that didn't get gone during the movie. With ideas. So what ideas there are not. I'll now be misquoted everywhere. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a crossover with the Orville and fucking Transformers meets the Lord of the Flies. Oh, it's gonna suck. It's like, I didn't say that. I said no, I'm not gonna do that. That's one thing I'm not gonna do. It's not gonna be a reference to the mush, really. Although it has a lot of the mush aesthetic. Oh my goodness. Finally revealing some of these. It is May 31st, 2025. And these little guys, the little robots, the space souls, the minicon kind of things of the Karda. These are the Karda. And yeah, there they are. Completed before Fanimecon. This is Gunship. But it's also Alchemist. They have little behind the scenes markings. These are from two different made in China distributors from Amazon. They make wooden robots now with little bendy arms and legs. I think there's strings holding them together basically. So they're as cheap as my original ones. They transform. They have. So yeah. So we have the Karda. I'm not going to make this very long, but we have 20 of them, 22 of them. We have a list here of the Karda that survived and didn't survive and were killed. in all the Karda shows, I'll talk about the genesis of the whole thing later. But these robots are really cool, and each one is painted slightly different than the others. They have a sort of a pseudo luchador look to them. They're very different, very creative, very unique. Mark's Cards was told about the production that was going into production. He's seen them twice now. So it was before last Thursday. And it was yesterday was of course Thursday, and now it was before Academy. So when they were introduced, we're not going to go over the individual characters at this point yet. I just wanted to note that they exist. They're all individually painted to look slightly different. There are some that are similar. There's like a fire team over here that's red. There's blue teams, or jet teams that are bluish and green. The bus macons are kind of all over the place because they're buses. They're mainly gray, except School Bus Man, who is yellow orange. School bus. They're all like personality quirk kind of things. The script calls for them to be basically protoforms the entire time because they didn't want to introduce their alt modes yet. So, but you get a hint from their names what their alt modes will be. Like we've got Pity Bowl right here. I think it's Pity Bowl. No, that's the other one. That's Raksha. But yeah, Raksha. But we got other ones that Pity Bowl here. And he is a pit bull. Or we have School Bus Man, who is literally a school bus. I think we'll do something different with these guys than the other Karda movies, and they won't be necessarily, exactly that, because we don't intend to destroy them like the other ones when we made them to obliterate them. This one, no, this is a scripted pilot story. Let's invent Karda now that you can go out on fairly inexpensively, fairly cheaply get little wooden toy robot soldier guys for $1 a piece, basically, and set them up and paint them for another $1 or so. You can paint them yourself. Why not? They have so it is in the Transformers universe. I'm going to move this, and now you've seen him just briefly, but I'm going to move this to where you can see me better, because, here's another shot of the guys. Here's the school bus one, and the fire ones, some of the female bots, and fembots and stuff. Yeah, they're all kind of the same guy. Some of them have slightly different feet than others, though. Like the ones that are sort of bendy feet are different from the ones that are sort of that kind of foot. It's not as bendy. It's not as foot-like. It's more like a slightly different. So the bendy feet one, the slightly bendy feet, those are the 20 or so newer ones that are from another set from a different company, which I thought would be a better company than the other, like random one that was obviously like just ripping off 3 others, but actually the rip-off company did it better. So that's kind of weird. But yeah, the robots on the cheap. Karda mini bots, and I think Dan Brown nephew hasn't seen this, but probably likes does his own thing with Warhammer characters. So you probably like this idea of these little Transformer guys. They are all about just under 5 inches, 4 inches, 4.3 inches, 4.4 inches. So they're the same scale as modern Transformer Voyager, which is ridiculous because back in the day this would be minicons, which is weird. They're just a little bigger than a G.I. Joe and a little smaller than a Star Trek figure. So they'd be smaller, and they're not supposed to be kids or anything. They're just what they are. So like the Karda. There's the Karda. So it goes into production in June. Karda. The Karda were envisioned at the same time as about season 2 of the Transformers, 1986. I was about 15, and then 16. The backstory is that you've seen some of the versions of that online, Karda and Karda 2: The Return. I think we've been over some of that before, but the way this story is written as sort of a cold reboot, hard reboot, whatever you want to call it, it sort of brings it back and kind of reinvents it. It was being compared to other stuff when I wrote it that doesn't make sense. It's not really comparable to those other things. So why did I mention that? I don't know. The script is good though. It's more of a pilot. This time it's not dependent on making 2 more afterward. It's just a one-shot movie story. It's not dependent on making a trilogy out of it. There isn't. There's enough to maybe come up with one. But yeah, it doesn't have to be. It's a one shot. It's like that. After also watching the basics on Transformers, a thing on the aligned continuity in the Transformer universe and all that. It does fit in the aligned continuity in the Transformers universe, but it doesn't have to. It just does because it's a Transformer spoof. They are Transformers. They are protoforms. That is what they are. The whole idea in this story is there in Transformers lore, the aligned continuity, the Transformers lore, which combines the comic books with the shows kind of loosely. The OG show had 2 or 3 ways to make Transformers. Built them, you got the personality components and added them to them, or you just built them and put their brains in. Or you went to Vector Sigma, where you built them and Vector Sigma would give them life. So Vector Sigma. That was before Primus and all that other stuff. It even been a thing. It's before Sparks. It's before, I think I've probably been over some of this before. You don't need to know all the lore, except that they're like Sparks, and they're like protoforms from Beast Wars. Yeah, they're protoforms. And they don't have transformation powers yet, which is a little like Transformers 1, in that some of them didn't have transformation cogs in them. And they were taken out of them by the evil bad guy Sentinel in that movie. It's not connected to that, though. So I wrote down a list of all the Karda that existed and were killed and whatnot, and made a list and figured out who's going to be in this. Because at the end of the 1994 sequel, when we were in our 20s doing it, Lawrence Harris is still in his teens. I was in my 20s, and we were doing the sequel, and in that one they all basically get killed. Well, not all of them. So if you go back and watch the commentary of that one, a lot of the smaller ones are just running around on the ground. They're not dead. They don't get killed. Not all of them die. There's actually Transformers getting killed in there too. So because the Rosmocom come down and they attack, and then the Primus thing does like the Preservers and preserves some of them. Hence we have this movie where some of them have been taken to the Rosmocom planet. Looks like Earth. Looks like Simultech has all the right elements in place for them to see that. It's not a simulation, it's that they had a similar war to the one in 1994. But in that universe, it was 2015 to them when that happened. And they thought that it was billions of years later at the end of movie 1. It wasn't billions of years later. It was that the radiation scared off all the humans. It was just 2015, which they discovered. And having discovered this by the hand of the deity guy, they destroyed the deity for breaking their illusion. In this movie, it's not a dream, not an illusion. They are on this planet. They've been revived by the planet. It's kind of Transformers Reactivate, but they've canceled Transformers Reactivate. They're not doing that. So it's kind of that, except our version. It's also elements of one, but not really. It's they were saying, oh, it kind of sounds like the. Some of us were thinking at the time, it kind of sounds like the Smurfs, the little creatures running around. Only that they're little creatures. Other than that, it's not anything like the Smurfs. No, it really is not. It'd be more like the GoBots than the Smurfs. It'd be like Machine Robo. They're smaller than Transformers. Right? It's the GoBots. So it's GoBots. And Rosmocom. See, there's Alicom and there's Rosmocom. And on the planet Rosmocom, they are similar. They're like clones of Transformers, which were made clones. That is canon of the series. There are some clones. Some famous Transformer clones included the Nemesis Prime from the later shows in the Japanese continuity, stuff like that. The Rodimus Unicronus, who played Maxis Karda, and stuff like that. Draconus Prime. Yeah, so there's precedent for that. Scourge is also, yeah. Okay. So yeah, there is precedent for that, so it works. You don't need to know all that though. They're protoforms. They end up being awakened on this planet. You've got to figure out the mystery of the shards of Quintus that are lying around the ground. And so basically, what I did to make the alignment continuity make sense, because it kind of doesn't, is that the shards of Quintus in the story are of the same material as Vector Sigma. Thus, the same material as the Energon deep within Primus, which is Cybertron. So it's the same stuff. It's like super Energon or something. Creates life. It's the creation matrix of that planet. So that actually makes it work. And you can say, like, oh, creation matrix is recreating these Karda guys, the planet. That's all you need to know. They explain it to the audience, which is kind of like they did Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, which I hadn't seen yet at that point. The script. I saw that movie just 2 days ago. And yeah, they do a lot of explaining in that one. They didn't need it. And this one, it needs it, because they are cardboard, they're wooden robots. They're supposed to be metal, but they're wooden. The alt modes are problematic, if we ever get to the alt modes. Maybe in the sequel. If we do a sequel. The alt modes are also problematic, and what I will likely do is do something like they did with the Micromaster Transformers, more so than what they did with Power Rangers. And the teams, 5, each little team would get inside a vehicle and fly around it. That would make more sense. Yeah. So if there are 22 of them, there's a team, 5 of them in each car, 5 cars. One would be a plane for the air team, one would be a car for the car team, one would be a bus for the bus team. Like a space bus, no wheels, it's a space bus. And then there would be the dog or cat team would be like a giant animal thing, beast form thing. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So they would be that. There's dog and cat team, and of course, since they're cat lovers on the set, the cats are the good guys, dogs are the bad guys. Yeah. So they have like that kind of thing. But yeah, it's the first time some of them have been realized in actual form. There were characters with names and templates that weren't included. I already mentioned in the previous thing that there's even a character called Misfire, who was a weird name for a Transformer as well. I thought at first, a year before Transformers made a Misfire, Target Master Misfire. A year before that, 86, there was a Misfire. And the Misfire toy came out in 87. So, yeah. So they were even thinking about us even back then. And they couldn't possibly have seen any of our videos. They were public access, but I don't think they could have watched them. That's unlikely. But yeah, very unlikely. They would have cared. But yeah, so there were parodies besides. They didn't have the act. What's the Digital Millennium Copyright Act? And Trans Tech 2. I'm assuming you also saw Trans Tech 1, 2, and 3, and you know about that. But this one, you don't have to have seen them, because it kind of helps, but you don't have to do the homework just to understand. Oh, they're Karda. You know, there might be fans that will complain, oh, this seems like a cash grab thing where they're trying to, like, just reinvent it because it's out there and some other guy is doing Karda. No, it's actually us. It's Cat and Mark's cards. It's us. Nobody else is doing that. It's us. I just want to relive that kind of story. And yeah, we're gonna do it. So yeah, yeah, without killing them off this time. Mark's cards says, that's interesting. So you let them live. Let them live, not kill them off. Production hasn't begun yet. Begin on the 1st of June, I'm assuming. It is quite hot today on the set. It's the middle of summer. We're approaching, well, it's approaching early summer, but it already feels like middle summer. It's June, it's early summer. Some of the characters, put them on set. We have 20 some characters. Dun, 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 dun. June 1st, 2025. On the set of Karda. The sets are up, and we will dress the sets accordingly. And because everything is reused, the stairway of the Karda, the ship, I think will actually be one of the model Star Trek ships. The stairway, the buildings, and all that stuff will be actually ship models that are stored about. Also, there's the Frankenstein Veritech and a number of the other props to be placed. That's for tomorrow. Right now we're just looking at the set here that was just put up just now. So it looks really cool. And the Karda script is banger and awesome and baller. Yeah. It's a good script, it's a good story. It's about the Karda. If you're going to compare it to anything from the 80s, it's less Smurfs, obviously. It's more shirt tails because they have like things on their chests. It's also GoBots and Transformers. Definitely Transformers more than anything. But yeah, it has the idea that they're saying who they are, which is kind of funny. Yeah, and I think, judging from what we do with the credits, that it takes place during the line continuity, during the Lexicon story. It doesn't seem connected to the Robotech so much, although there is a Frankenstein Veritech in it, and it's motionless. It's just sitting there, and the legato bass and all that. It's cool that I have recreated the floors, the ground floors, and all that of what the Space Lego base I envisioned it looked like in my head when I was like 16. Those stories are 15 and a half, and I've recreated them here. It's awesome. So awesome. Mostly, we'll see how warm it is tomorrow. It's very, the summer has begun. So, yeah, don't want it to be too hot on the set and be boiling. So I just had to show off the set, and here we are for Karda. I don't know if there's other ones after this one. There was a gap of nearly 8 years between Karda 1 and 2. So hopefully there won't be 8 years between Karda 1 and 2 of this one. This one takes off and this one's awesome. It won't be that long. It'll be probably another month. Then it'll be another script. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's meant to be a one-off. It does have that ending we thought of with the Dinobot ship showing up at the very end. And that's fine for what it is. It sets it in the continuity. If it went a little more than that, it would be dumb. If they had said, okay, now it's going to be about them instead of Karda. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. This isn't the Dinobot mission story. This is just, as a gag, they show up at the end of the story. This is not that. I have not written that story. Yes, so the sequel would not be that either. So yeah. Yeah, and yes, I have seen the videos of some making of Karda fun for you. Clang. This is kind of need this in the beginning of the thing because you kind of need a little bit of an introduction, sort of a text scroll, but instead of it being like Star Wars where it's this long text scroll, it's an interesting text scroll, and Cal Cat in doing so kind of aligns the continuity and pulls the card into the story. This is actually really well done. Here we have. Yeah, so in the original Karda mythos, they were in the '86. They were trying to get to the celestial orb so they could get off the planet. They put this celestial orb out there. They got in the spaceship. Of course, the celestial orb was a basketball that had been painted over and then painted over in paper mache, but then was plated over again in metal and tin foil. But yes, so they found the celestial orb and used it as their spaceship. They put the Ark ship inside it and left. Came back in 1994, thinking that it was billions of years later, because relativistic space-time, but it wasn't really. It was just 2015. The space god didn't like that, and they didn't like the space god didn't like that. The space god told them it's not really, it's just 2015, even though it was 1994 when the story was filmed. So yeah, there's a little bit of that in there. You don't need to know a lot of the backstory because it's explained, but I thought that having a little like an Optimus Prime voiceover with stars going by for a minute would be fine, because you kind of want to establish what's going on. And yeah, Roswell Complex. And that this story does not take place on Earth. So all those other battles that they're seeing are regenerated by the copycat planet. So they can see the battles. So they're like simulations, simulacron kind of things that they're watching on the planet. As they discover in the story. I read the script again. And in deference to starting production on this, the teaser, at least the teaser today, and it's already 3:30, and so here in the third, they never quite nailed down the line continuity, even when they tried to nail it down, and I was the basics of Transformers explains that continuity, line continuity quite well. But suffice it to say, I always thought Vector Sigma was a part of Primus, where they introduced later, and that it was simply like a conduit, like a node to Primus. You could go to it and get like new bodies, new minds for Transformers, basically. Or you could get the personality cubes, or you could build them yourself. They could build their own people. So, and in the British continuity, they have budding apparently. Nothing they used over here. They used it over there. They used it a little bit in Armada, though. The mini-cons and stuff. And they used it in the Michael Bay movies. Some of them became budded out of the other ones and running around in the Michael Bay ones. Especially the ones with Marky Mark as my friend Jonathan. Why were they doing that? So I wasn't even in the last two of those things. They were paying homage to us before we weren't in them anymore. The Chicago one, that was it. The one about the, Dark of the Moon, or Dark of the Moon. Anyway, so, but yes, so it's they had to pay homage to us eventually. But yes, they've released some of the other ones. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. And so this is the Karda. This is kind of our own thing. They originally cardboard robots. They literally were cardboard. Now they're made of wood, just as they were in 2005. So this is kind of a follow-up to the 2005 ones that were built for Transtech, Transformers Meet Robotech, Part 2 and 3, 2005. So these are more homage to that, but it's done in such a way that it's not. You don't need to know all that, because you're going to be introduced to the story, and you're going to be like, oh, these characters are likable. The minutia and the dogma is funny. They keep referencing the minutia and going like, why? We don't need that. That's funny. Oh, that's great. But yeah, the Vector Sigma does that. The Allspark is just like Vector Sigma, basically. The Allspark. And there should be backups of the Allspark. Those episodes of the later continuity where they said, oh, the Allspark cube is the only cube that generates Cybertron or the well or whatever. Also generates the Cybertron. No, it should be that it's eternal. And that they haven't lost all of them. They just lost one of them. They go back to Cybertron and reactivate it. Because it's a computer. And they're a computer race originally. So they're like a Matryoshka thing going on. A nesting doll, but a computer. And so the thing should be able to rebuild itself each time, regenerate. Because you have a computer, you always have a backup. So the idea was Vector Sigma, or Primus before. And I did correct this. In the other stories I was saying, the Forge of Solus Prime was also, I thought it would be cooler if the Forge of Solus Prime was an entire solar system and a big megastructure thing, and they were building Cybertron, Unicron, and Tornacron there, and then launched them into the galaxy. So they're building planets, metal planets. So they're a very, very super advanced society that constructed the Transformers. Super advanced, like Cat 3 level, like demigod things. They could build planets. So they could build a planet, slightly smaller than Earth. They're not bigger than Earth, but still they can build a planet ship, and send it out, a metal planet ship. With robots on it. So that idea is kind of ingrained in there. So the idea of the Allsparks and all that ingrained in there. So it's a piece of them. Primus is probably the Forge. Should have been called the Forge of Primus, the Forge of Primary, because that's technically what it was. Not Solus. Solus was just one of the 13. It's the Forge of Primary. It's the Forge of the thing, which is corrected at the very beginning in the teaser of this story. Didn't they call it the Forge of Solus? Oh, that was a mistake. That was the hammer. That was corrected by that was the hammer guy. But then the Scythe of Destiny also appears. We get to see that again from the other story. Amalgamus' Scythe, which was taken by Dracotron, and he was using it because he had some of his essence inside him. Dracotron. And he's been featured in Old Transformers Mush, Season 2. Dracotron with his powers. And Dracotron created he stole the two Rakshas and made from two different dimensions, and he made and he accosted them and created by budding, I guess, or something, created four grandchildren of Night Racer. Night Racer, then Raksha, then which is funny because she named her kid after Raksha, who created Night Racer, which is funny. So the granddaughter, it sounds a little sort of strange, but the robot created the robot. So we have three robots. We have 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse robots from that other story. That was at the beginning of Shared Hallucinations when we last saw the Karda. And those Karda, though, were revealed to be GoBots. It was revealed that they were robots. But so they weren't quite Karda. They were just pretending to be Karda 3 years ago. Just to correct the continuity a little bit. And you can say, oh, it's a multiverse, so it doesn't matter. Just another version of the multiverse. In this version of the multiverse, something different happened, that's all. And that's how to do multiverse, is you just say, well, here, this sets up this, in this part, this multiverse. See, the Marvel people over-explain a multiverse, when really the DC one did a little better. It just said, oh, the multiverse is more like a plate of spaghetti, and the strings in the universe, is less like some guys controlling it, the one above all. It's more like okay, Marvel. It's more like no, it's just this disconnected string of things floating around and stuff. Different universes bouncing against each other. Sure. They don't need to explain it. They just go there. Yeah, just go there. So, yeah, the Rosmocom have always been a fun group, and we're going to see their planet for the first time. They're going to see the planet. That's neat. That goes back to Trans, the series, Trans 1 and 2, and the Material Bots with the Karda as well. And that was a 94 Karda. They were the Material Bots, technically. They were GoBot-like Karda that came back to Earth in their spaceship. The JWS Cat 2. Presumably, they were the same group that was from the other story, even though the other story, they were almost all dead, so it had to be a different group. And then they were killed in battle with the Transformers and each other. But this group here is a third group, which were not killed in the battle, because the energy of their sparks never dies. It just goes somewhere else. And they had sent out a signal to the planet, to the other planets out there that had other sparks like them. And the signal has been responded to. So yeah, there they go. They're gonna go answer the call. Sort of Ghostbuster like. But yes, the Karda. Rosmocom was a planet that, like Strawberg, these two places were named after Rossman and Strawberg, two last names of two kids from Pine Hill, roughly the same age. They weren't friends or anything. They weren't enemies. They were sort of like just directly, but I just stole names. Actually, Rossman and Jason Strawberg. Changed the name slightly and put them in the story, but no, they were just ripping out names. They weren't really them. So yeah, so yeah, So we're gonna find out. We found out a lot about Alicom and versions of Alicom. The story Allison King, one of the other characters. So one of the others from Pine Hill as well, who becomes a giant kaiju in Transtech. But that's kind of messed up. But so did the other one. So did Rosmocom. Let's begin with kaiju, a Doom kaiju thing. So Rosmocom came to fight them as Doom. They embodied the thing, but the mummy that was controlling her is back on the planet in the space boat. We get to find out what happened to that character. They find her, like immediately. They walk up. Oh, there she is. That's what I was wondering about that. Yeah. Some of them weren't, which was funny. Well, I wasn't wondering about that. But yeah, so this other planet, this other Transformers planet, an untapped well of alternate universe Transformer stuff, where some of them were clones of Transformers and would come back as, oh, I'm the evil Optimus, or I'm the evil mirror universe version of Topspin, or I'm the evil mirror universe of... Mind you, of course, in order for them to be the evil universe. And you might think, oh, he's just thinking of Nemesis Prime and how later Megatron became a good guy in the comics and stuff. It makes sense. And in Allspark. They've just been cribbing our ideas. Nemesis Prime was one of our ideas from way back. Oh, what happened to Optimus Prime? We were just ripping off the show because there was an episode where Optimus Prime, they make a clone of him, medieval clone of him, and it attacks the Autobots. Yeah, so that's all that was. We were just ripping them off. They were ripping them off too, the same source. Although in Robots in Disguise 2001, they called him Scourge, which is connected to the 1994 one, and to Transitron from 1994. Because also there's another one of our characters that got included. It's not the first time. You can trace the lineage of that back to Misfire in 1986. We had a character called Misfire before they did. They did not introduce Target Masters for a year. And then when they did, that was Misfire. Wow. But yes, and then the Transmetal Dinobot, and then kind of Cheetor too, a little bit. Nemesis Prime is probably a nod to the video versions of Karda, Evil Optimus. Ooh, that's probably what that is. So that's a nod to our stuff, and that's cool. And then we have that's a nod to our stuff. Um, yeah, so they need to hire us. Also, the last couple movies have been a nod to our stuff, which is fun. Bumblebee movie, and then Rise of the Beasts, and then Transformers 1. That's 3 of them movies that are very similar. So. And yeah, Transformers 1 was more Tim. Tim Cantrell than us, but but it was that was well done. Yeah. So yeah, you have introducing this other race of Transformers and this Rosbercom thing, this colony of the Transformers is also similar to the planet Master in Transformers Master Force, the God Master Force Transformers 90s show, which I also watched years ago. Got all the way up to Victory. Couldn't finish most of Victory. It was just, yeah. But, but yeah, we gave up the whole collection, so I don't know how it ends. But yeah, I understand there's a new one as well, with sort of pseudo beast formers. And they're also introducing like smaller ones. They're introducing right now these smaller ones that are like cheaply articulated little guys. Basically, they're Karda. So they have the Transformers are doing official Karda if you want to get some. But they're not mine. They're theirs. They're their version. Mini-bot things. They've done that before though. Mini-bots are good. Even Tim, the friend Tim from the cast, wouldn't be confused with that Transformer thing, but didn't really care for the mini-bots too much, but he had a lot of them. But Dan Brown, producer, likes them. Also the idea of doing a Transformers story where the little guy succeeds in doing something interesting is fun. So yeah, that's cool. So we will see how this goes. The script is fun. And if it is another universe, yeah, it does open the suggestion that, okay, are they actually seeing the battles? Are they watching them on a screen or something? Or how will we do that? I don't know how we'll do that. But I'm assuming they are watching simulations of them because they weren't there. Because they were spared from it and copied over onto the planet. And the space bridge closed, so they could be spared. So they're a group of the Karda. And there are clues about them earlier on, as though we intended to originally do this. Well, it's called Over the Rise, the original script. Back in the day. And, only about, well, although the Over the Rise story in this is only really about maybe 10% of it. So the rest of it is all new. So that's kind of fun. It's not a retread. It really technically isn't a reboot. It's basically I made the characters likable, put them in the situation, and had them do things that they would do as characters. So starting with the bus Macons and one of the fire Macons for a reason, and they go about doing their thing. Primary comes to get them. We shall see what this looks like. Pretty much lollygagged around pretty much all day. I did an entry minute scene there, but yeah, I lollygagged around. Tomorrow we'll have to actually film a good deal of this. This was the teaser, and so far it's very cool. They look very neat. They kind of have a bird look to them, which is fun. So they're like early Maximals or something. Maybe they were. Maybe the Maximals and the Predacons, they're like the actual origin of that, which is similar to the Japanese reissue with the Beast Former Combiner guys that they're doing. It was a coincidence. Ours are different, obviously. I would say it's a coincidence. And they've done it before. So. Yeah, they're supposed to be little car guys. Each team is a different set of car guys. And in this version of the story, they're like pretenders, but they would all ride in the car if they had a car. They'll get inside it. Instead of being a combiner. Or they'd ride in a robot that would be a robot. And get inside it and walk around. Instead of combining into a robot, because that'd be hard to do, they just would combine. Anyway, so yes, and that's Gumelt. They're the bad guy. Yeah, is it Michael Chang Gumelt? Kind of. Gumelt. Yeah. Anyway, so Not really supposed to be him, though. I just stole the name. Anyways. We started late again. So all we have is this little snippet here. We introduced the Chamber and the Veritech and the three Terrans who don't know they're Terrans. And they're going to meet the other Terrans in the next scene. That's kind of what's going on. So, yeah. Jillian Gorky is, yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have picked it up.
But I'm on the set of Karda here. And I got lollygagging late filming there, and on the set of Karda. Yes, Karda. And let's, yeah, so we have some Kardas, and here's the scene where these synthoid malcontents are about to die and get resurrected as Karda. And then there's other Karda that are coming after them. Yeah, sort of a...
Oh, and blonde General Chang.
Exactly. That's critical vitriol there. Yeah. But he's not really. He's somebody else. He's playing somebody else. That's not really Dax either, and that's not really supposed to be. It's just three new guys playing different guys.
Sure.
Slam Trip and some other guy. And that's the space city, but now it's the Borg chamber for the Queen there. Excellent. So there's sort of a Star Trek connection, although it's not directly a Borg. She's Jillian Rosmacom.
Wow.
Well, a lot of lore going on there. But yes. It makes sense in the story. She's dead in there. She's not alive. She's a zombie.
Zombie.
Well, because that's cool.
Zombies are always cool.
Zombies like mummy.
Oh, and they brought a giant COVID virus.
Yes, yes. These cool little flashy toy things. So I needed to find something glowy that works for something glowy. You know, that works for well, like a space rock, like the Vector Sigma. And look, it does. It goes. It's perfect.
And your
found in the
cats
party.
enjoy it as well.
You have to give them to the cats afterward. They'll probably rip it apart.
Yeah.
And whatever's inside it will leak out and kill them. That would be fucked up. Ah!
We have to eat the battery.
But yes, we should go get some dinner.
Definitely.
I wonder what I ordered.
I don't know. I think it's fentanyl. Meth.
Method.
Crack.
Methamphetamine. It'll make the adventure pass smoother.
Can have that shipped via Amazon.
But yes, I'm sure there's not a VAT on the set here, but yes. Now you're in the making of at the end of the Karda episode right here. Oh, there's Mark's cards from the a new Karda movie. That's the first time we've had cardboard ones since wooden ones since Transtech 2 in 2005. It's been 20 years.
It has been 2 decades.
2 decades since we actually had like physical Karda model toys built. And that's awesome. And now they make them on Amazon. So you can buy the little guys and paint them.
Yes.
I don't need to build them.
Use Scorponok to rip one of them in half and send it.
Well, I don't know if we'll do that, but maybe in the sequel. But
Darker second chapter.
The darker second chapter. At least one of them died. Well, there's a lot of like faux death in this story. So there we go. I wonder. This is Calicat the Calicatster. Mark's Cards was just here. We got some footage of that, so you get to see when you watch this Karda thing all the way through. You get to see that. Yeah, I think the package was Staples. Anyway, so yeah, he pitched a story idea for another sci-fi twist type of thing. We were going on about the Aliens series, the Aliens on Earth thing. I think I mentioned that before. And he had an even better idea for the Aliens on Earth thing. You not just have the Sigourney Weaver character come back as old, but you also have they go to Alien Yutani and they take it over. And at the end, there's a sentient xenomorph, and it's messing with them. It's the final boss. That idea, kind of like a Borg Queen kind of thing. That's a cool idea. Of course, in this case, we can't do an alien story, but we can do something like that. He's pitched a premise for an actually reasonable redemption story / alien story / Star Trek. It sounds more like a Star Trek than a Karda story. It could be a Transformer story, though, I suppose, after the Karda story. But that's the end, the premise. It's got. But the idea of an unexpected sentient boss behind the whole thing, manipulating, pulling the strings, it's just interesting. idea, also the ideas of a-hole characters like those in Sideways and the others, kind of getting away with it at the end, whereas he likes those, whereas I like the alien bad guys to get what they deserve at the end. It's a different kind of a thing going on there. Yeah, the bullies get what they deserve. Yeah, in my stories. Yeah. I don't want to be too real to life and have the bullies actually get away with it. I want to have them, they get taken out. The idea of the puppet master of the whole thing is like, you could probably do something with there have been some Star Trek Legacy stories that were similar to that. So probably a Transformers one would make more sense. I suppose a Transformer premise. Yeah. Maybe the Invid Queen in this timeline that's been changed has gone on to put her essence in something unexpected, and that's what's controlling some planet they have to go to. Be kind of cool. Yeah. Well, we did set up the thing for the idea that there's a queen in this story, in the Karda story, but it's more blatant. Like, well, yeah, it's not a final boss. It happens to be there. Maybe it's the sequel. Maybe it's Karda 2, Part 2. But we haven't written that yet. So. He will not be here next Thursday. I'm in Vegas to meet Weird Al. I saw Weird Al last year. Well, anyways, Weird Al concert. Yeah, so just thought I would shoot that story out into the ether here on the 5th of June on Bob Brown Day. Just tell you that Bob Brown Day. Original executive producer, original of Brown Productions, and all the other productions, Karda and Trans and all that. Who passed away in 2009. It was ex-mayor Milpitas, did a bunch of other stuff. Western Electric, World War II veteran, C-47 transport plane radio operator, World War II Army Air Corps, all that other stuff. Yeah, the production company that on to have Mom in charge of it 2009 on, all the way to until their death in 2024. So yeah, so there's yeah. So so there's if Dad was still alive, he would be 100 years old today. Really old. Yeah. So that's going on June 5th here. The Karda has been slow going just because while gagging around doing other things. Hopefully we will begin production again tomorrow. No, for every Friday they're always doing something in the park until 1 or 2 anyway. There's always some construction going on in the park. We will see. We might have to do a night shoot tomorrow instead. We shall see. The idea of a sentient creature taking over that idea is kind of cool. Sentience, you know. I think they did something like that in the comic books at Dark Horse. So, it has been done before, but it is cool that we came up with it again. Also the idea of their a siege on a tower thing where they get to fight the androids instead of people who get to blow up androids. Maybe they have maybe they go to, yeah, maybe it's a Transformers meets Star Trek. Maybe it's something similar to that. Yeah. Maybe it's some other kind of goofy thing. This is going to be real brief because it's late. We did a night shoot. Started off late, so we did some stuff around 3 o'clock to 6. Then we stopped. 3 hours later, we started filming again, and did another 90 minutes of footage. We completed what amounts to actor group 1, first 30 minutes of this film. It's 90 minutes long. So we did actually rock it on ahead and did that. Ending for the evening tonight. There's not going to be much more of a discussion on that. Putting that together. Also, and not much word on the next Star Trek story that's after this. Other events may change. There is a that's why we're just doing this one movie, because other events might change and we might end up doing something that isn't Transformers right after this. Might be a Star Trek story. Might just be one. We have some of the cast and crew have returned, so that's very exciting. So we will see what happens with that. They won't be in this, because this will be done a while off, where we're struggling on ahead. Yeah, we intend to put this together and have it in the can easily before the 4th of July. I mean, it's only the 6th, the 7th of June. I mean, yeah. Well, now that I said it, no, it's possible. It's possible. We'll do some more night shoots. We'll get it done. It was very hot. It's been very hot for but yeah, it's the middle of June, and right now it is like got to be like 79 degrees in here. That's crazy. It's nuts. Yeah, I'm gonna need to sneak down there and turn the air on or something. I don't know. Yeah. Casper, the same day, one of the story consultants is, oh, look what I'm doing. Yeah, so if her character from the Star Trek Starship Legacy, it's not Woods, it's Boys. If she shows up again, she's gonna be like, well, my character needs to go into different can't be on the bridge. Well, she can be, but she's gonna be in real life. She's gonna be a doctor, so she's got to be a medical team on the ship. It's an alternate universe. How about that? Well, the person playing the character doesn't need to be. Their real occupation doesn't need to be what they are on Star Trek. That's silly. That doesn't have to be the case. Because I'm obviously not a space admiral right now. Or a Q. Just play one on TV. So it doesn't have to be that. It really doesn't. Anyway, let's go on with Karda, because it's about Karda. The Karda characters. None of the cadets are in this. It's all the adults. None of the some of the OG ones are there. Mainly the Transformer people are doing this one. So the Transformer people. Yeah. Sunday, June 8th, night shoot. Usually we're not gonna do a night shoot, but this time we're doing a night shoot because it was too hot during the day, and so we're gonna do a night shoot. That was more on the set of Karda this evening. It's time to end production for the night. Because I'm assuming this card is now working. It is, well, I'm going to cut back to here. A transition wipe scene that has primary ordering the different ones to do things. I want to have her actually give the order before they leave. I'm going to have her turn around and say it to them, and then that makes more sense. So as he's leaving, we get her saying, why don't you go and find the others? Making of, going to go on to the next, check that other stuff. Probably want to check the dailies. Make sure this is recording, or we want to keep going. Yeah, the funny note in the story, this guy is Scratcher, and he's the only one that doesn't introduce himself like 3 times. Introduce himself at all, he just shows up. So I'm going to fix that. Okay, and we are rolling. The camera card with the other camera was malfunctioning. Here we are on the set. So this is the second unit camera. Yeah, so ordered some new camera cards to make sure. Maybe the camera got too hot. Maybe the card's bad. So we got another card on the way. But we still go with this camera and do all the footage we need to do. I got up to page 53. We started with 37 to 53. That's a good full day. And now it's night shoot at this point. And 22 minutes of the night shoot, I stopped because, yeah, we should stop. It's been enough. And continue tomorrow on the set of this movie. We've gone forward to the aliens and stuff like that. There are supposed to be, there's 5 gestalts. No, there's 5 in each gestalt. And there's 30 transformers. So there's like 5. We built 30 of them. So there's 6 groups. And they've doubled and tripled up the other group, or the malcontents, so that they could have enough to finish the gestalts. And the other malcontent robots will join them as the story progresses. They will have the gestalts. They don't have vehicles yet, though. They don't have vehicles in this movie at all, just so you know. But when they do, they will get inside the vehicles. So each 5 team will get inside the one vehicle. Yeah. Instead of the way they do it with Transformers nowadays. So it'd be more like Transformers Micromasters. And more so than Target Masters. Brain Masters. And Breastmasters was a form of the Planet Master and Master Force, which is funny because that sounds even more S&M-y. Master Force. No. There was just Headmasters. That's what they called the Headmasters. But yeah, it's weird. That's what they called it. Yeah, and Engine Masters makes more sense than Breast Masters. Just the Japanese, of course, they called it that. Anyway, so you have the Karda here who are to scale with the Star Trek figures, so that actually you can actually tell how big they are. Because we were using Robotech figures, G.I. Joe figures as Robotech figures before, so they'd be the wrong scale if they were ever met the Robotech people. We'd have to show them bigger than them. We really, yeah. We use Star Trek figures for the Malcontents and the Shadow and Gamelt. So yeah, it's gonna make these guys look smaller. And you can do a rough scale estimate. If the Star Trek figure is 5 feet tall, they're 4 feet tall. So they're just a little over 4 feet tall. And if they're 6 feet tall, then they're a little over 5 feet tall. So that's roughly where they are in terms of their height. They are little robots, basically. So if they were standing up next to Transformers, the Transformers would tower over them considerably. They would be like yeah, they are literally the little robot. They're the mini-bots, basically. They're mini-cons. This is a mini-con story. Who knew? It's a mini-con story. Karda are mini-cons. And then evidently Tim Cantrell did not dig the mini-cons so much, even though he had a bunch of them. And the mini Transformers and all that being power. So he didn't like the idea of them being a power source because that's kind of silly. Then again, so is a giant planet that eats and transforms. But still, the idea that so these guys are a little more ambiguous, a little less of that. Yeah, and I wanted to make this more of a pilot, so they're not immediately going, oh, we're going to kill each other, and then the story's over. No, I don't want to do that. I want them to. I wanted the script to be like, this could be something, but I didn't want to say, okay, this absolutely is something. This is part one of something. I wanted to make it stand on its own. So whether or not there is actually that last scene at 90 minutes, whether it actually is the Dinobot ship that shows up at the end, it's still up for debate whether we're actually going to do that. Because maybe you want to do like the sideways ending and have them not be able to tell what ship that is. As you see an Autobot symbol, that's it. We don't know what it is. Could do that. Even though I didn't like that ending in Sideways. I thought that should have an ending in that movie. An ending that was more satisfying. That, oh yeah, I want to see this character who's a jerk have his life be miserable. I want to see that. I want to know that he's going to get his comeuppance. I mean, yeah. But yeah, so this one, maybe I do want to show the I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not going to do the silly ending where like Reservoir Dogs, where the guy walks outside and bang, 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 bang. No, I'm not going to do that. Which they ripped off in The Sopranos, by the way. They ripped that off. The Sopranos thought they were being clever. Oh, the guy goes out and bang, bang, bang. You're ripping off Reservoir Dogs. And Reservoir Dogs was ripping off an earlier Hong Kong movie. So, by beat. Yeah. So that wasn't that original. Oh, it's Tarantino's greatest work because he's ripping off somebody else's work. It's not even original. Inglourious Basterds wasn't original. Durango wasn't original. They're all based on giallos and stuff. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is kind of original, but yeah. This was derivative too. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, we're not going to go on a tangent about Tarantino, but it is kind of funny. So we're going to introduce those other characters tomorrow who've come back to tell them about the Malcontents and as they approach Simultech to go in there. There should be a transition wipe where they go up there. Yep. Testing camera card. This is Calicat the Calicatster. I thought for sure that we would easily be able to knock out a bunch of hours of the filming today, but the computer decided to crap out. So I spent the last 6 hours making the computer work again, sort of. The something was going on with the unrelated with the memory cards, and then there's this password glitch that kept going on and off and on and off, and finally the password glitch killed the computer and put it in a weird standby mode, so you could not change the passwords back because Windows 10 wants to make you go to Windows 11, and been kind of sitting there going like, no, I don't want to do that. So I had to reboot the entire computer in Windows 10. I got back most of the files and everything. I didn't lose any of this movie, but because it was on an extra drive, it wasn't on the computer. And that's the thing with the newer stuff is with this 2022 computer. We're like, oh, I want to put I'm not going to put any of the hardware, the videos, on the hard drive at all. I'm going to put them on a separate drive, so they're all off the computer. If they ever get scrubbed, nobody can. Yeah, it doesn't destroy them. Yeah. So this new version of this kind of works. Photoshop Element 2025 kind of works to get the new version. Fortunately, the movie doesn't have a lot of transition wipes. A learning curve for the newer version of the program. That doesn't mean production would be halted. Production can continue with that program, with the newer version of the program, because it's better than 2023 was. The 2023 version of the program was bad. At least I think it's feasible to finish production of Karda with the newer software on this computer, but this computer does need to be replaced. And so in which case the Photoshop program would then be transferred over to the other one. Yeah, because if you go to free trial mode, then it says free trial at the bottom of the screen. Which is like, what? No, get the real mode. But yeah, so yeah, as long as this stays, so yeah, it's weird. It was like the cloud and the co-pilot and the other one were conspiring to destroy the computer's operating system. Yeah, so that's fun. So that's what happened today on the set of Karda, the movie. Yes, hopefully we'll be back in production tomorrow. It is almost 8 o'clock tonight, and there will not be a night shoot. No, we're not going to do that tonight. I'd rather do something else tonight. Tomorrow we continue with the filming. There was also the lawn care person was there the whole day. There was other stuff going on, but as well as the computer was fried. So yeah, the gardener. There was no lawn. So anyway, so yeah, that's yeah, we're gonna have to upgrade the computer probably before October, probably this month, just to have another one that works. Looks like we'll see. But yeah, we'll put this on the hard drive. Decided that I'm going to do some more this evening because we were almost on page 60. So let's get to page 60. So this is Calicat, the Calicatster. You are watching the Karda, making of Karda. It isn't the last film on Photoshop 15, it turns out. It's the first film on Photoshop 2025. Yeah, so we'll... and another machine. So, yeah, they halfway through this production, near the last third here. Yeah, this camera is getting all wonky and making me gray. I guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, so yeah, I hope that doesn't do that when that's recording. But yes, the Windows 10 computer is kind of done. I mean, it sort of works, it sort of doesn't. It's on borrowed time. It could last another month, or it could die tomorrow. So hopefully it doesn't die tomorrow. And we're gonna order another one. So at the studio, order another. And get another one. and put that in. So, but what's left of the Photoshop program should enable us to do this movie, this one. And we'll see what the next one is. Fortunately, the transition wipes are embedded in the movie, so it's like a long continuous scene for 90 minutes. If you put it all together and knit it together, it's 90 minutes. Yeah, I have to rescue the font pack from somewhere. I'm not sure how I'm going to get that back, but I'll figure it out. And it would have to be updated on the new machine as well, all the passwords, passcodes, and all that stuff. We are going to. I'm going to be able to put this movie together, at least a raw form of it, on the old machine. But we'll see whether the hard drive just immediately dies after that. But fortunately, most of the data for files and stuff was always off the machine, so that when you're building the newer stuff, it doesn't tax the hard drive. The stuff just taxes the USB ports, so it's off the hard drive, so that the actual building, the scratch disks and all that are off the drive. The Karda movie. We're gonna finish the Karda movie. We have another half an hour of footage to film, so let's do that and finish that off. Could have done more yesterday, but that was yesterday. It was just that, just thought I should probably sit around and see whether we're actually going to have any ability to edit software at all, edit movies at all. I was able to make it so it does edit movies. We might do another test run there before that. But now let's put the footage together. Let's just get it together, see if it works. So that's great. So that's kind of what's going on. Is the device from which we put the films together to put them on YouTube is conking out and making weird noises, and weird password thing had to be updated, rebooted, completely reinstalled. So all of the proprietary stuff was gone, except for the files, which were not on it. They were actually on the little drive. So everything seems to be an app now. So it is acting like it's a Windows 11 machine, even though it's not. I think it's probably what did it. So it tried to put Windows 11 on it, and it didn't work. It crashed. It did it on its own, and it wants to update on its own. And the updates don't work anymore at all. So and note to anyone else that has like a PC, HP or Dell or whatever the current PC. You don't need to install the McAfee thing on there. They just put that on there. You don't need to install it. Uninstall it when you put it. You have other software. Mac doesn't have that problem, but we haven't used Macs in years. This one's better for USB ports and plugins and camera cards and things. So that works. And this camera, I fixed it so it doesn't recycle the. I fixed the in the settings. There's a thing that was resetting it each time the camera turns off, resetting the number lines on the videos, making it hard to sort them. Okay, note in the script that we have changed. I have changed the ending. It's not the Dinobots. It's the remaining Karda, because that doesn't make sense that it's the Dinobots. So note that has been changed. Dun, dun, dun. This is the Catster on the set of this film. The new computer is on its way. So we're not even going to render any of this movie on the old one except to do the raw stuff for the movie. Here we're on the set of Karda the movie. We just completed the day shoot, 30 minutes. The last third of the movie is in the can, and that's awesome. So now it's late at night, and we finished the whole shoot. It's been 12 hours of filming, so that's enough. Several battery packs later, so it's in the can, and we'll put all those pieces together, the new program. Hopefully it'll work, and then we'll make a copy of that new program. That's what you can do. You can get 2 of them, and put that on the new machine, because so we will make rough versions of this first before that new machine arrives. So, because the old one is kind of dying. Yeah, so, there's another one. So, cool. But yes, the Karda has been thus far it was slow going at first. The first 2 or 3 days were slow going, and there wasn't much going on. But then it picked up, and then it steamrolled to the climactic finale here. And as we got closer and closer to the finale this evening and at night, we decided that the ending will be changed, because the whole story is kind of dependent on being a story within itself, self-contained, so to speak. Story about the Karda. Throwing in other Transformers at the end would have been cheapening it. Kind of indicated that earlier on. That kind of didn't seem right. And there was a discussion with Mark Cards about that kind of thing in a movie. Story premise. Have your story premise kind of go on its own. And not cheapen it by having, we're going to throw in this other guy that shows up at the end credits. Or Marvel serial kind of thing. It's less a serial and more one-shot movie. And you don't need to have a stinger at the end with that other stuff going on. And as it came together, we showed the different characters going in and out of the space bridge and getting zapped. Thought that, know what should happen here is there's an opportunity for the ones that they saw in the visions and the ones that they saw all together, 30 Karda. There were 5 of them left that we didn't get to see. So at the very end. So those 5 are the ones that show up at the end, because they've activated on their ship. They came back. That's self-contained. That when they're saying, okay, the ship, spaceship thing, so they have a ship, so they can get off the planet. When Transitron and Primary were zapped through the space bridge, they went to the ship that Transitron came on. And it was Night Racer's ship, it turns out. And there was a Solus and there was an Amalgamus, 2 versions of them. And they got a ride back to the planet. Yeah, it's self-contained. That's what happened. That's obvious. I mean, it's real straightforward how that worked. They have a ship. They don't need the space bridge if they have a ship. The Karda story is done. So it's done before VBS camp, which we won't film VBS camp, but let's put it together before. Well, it's going to be done before the 4th of July. Come on. But the transition wipes are pretty much in the movie, so you don't need like beauty wipes and stuff. You can put them in if you want to, but no, it's all on one planet. It's all kind of this thing. The lore stuff might seem a little funky, but it's trying to be its own version of a Transformers serial. So, and they're protoform people, and that's kind of cool. And they're actually smaller than the people in the story. Yeah, and it also has Time Lords in it. It has the Shadow Dancer and that axe and in Critical Vitriol and Dal from are they going to do something with that? Are those Time Lords going to show up later on? Sort of Doctor Who-y kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Would they be the crew of a ship with the Shadow Dancer there? It would be very different. That would be like temporal agents going around. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I think they're just in the story because it's funny as a gag. It's sort of... There's a little bit of Star Trek in there, and that they're supposed to be Star Trek people and Cillians, but it's not a crossover, really. They're just in it, like they're part of it. As one of them explains, the Beast Wars story, the future of that is 300 years after after Transformers. Is it 300 years after 2006, so it's 2306, or is it 2000? Is it 300 years after 1996? A little bit 10 years earlier than that. It could be either or. I'm thinking that we screwed up when we did Transtech, and that it isn't really the end of the millennium there, and then jumping ahead, it's actually later, because that would make more sense. But I think they might have forgotten. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Beast Wars is supposed to be. If it was supposed to be 1996 and 1999, but 300 years later, it would only be, the 2290s. But, oh well. It doesn't matter, really, 300 years later. Yeah, it kind of doesn't match anyway. If it's, it's not important. 2306 or not. From 2006. That's fine. If it's a little earlier, if it's 2301, close enough. It's a multiverse. Yeah, so the Karda in the story, they're copies of the Karda from both of the battles that the preservers of the planet made reappear. They've got lots of energon on the planet, like the prehistoric Earth. Energon balls just lying around. They have the ability to bring some of them back. Do they eventually get body shells and transformation powers? Maybe. I don't know. This is a pilot. I don't know whether it'll be picked up by Starship Locations as a series. But it's a pilot thus far. Janky sets that are kind of falling apart. So... But yes, it's a pilot, all up taking place on a planet, and the end of the thing. It's fun bringing them back, giving them a story, saying, okay, this really isn't about the battle where they kill each other to control, delete each other. It's more the teamwork, the planet. They start brawling in the last 2 pages. But the brawling is they're just kind of snarking each other. and then Primary apparently uses her powers to stop the battle and take away the Doom thing. Yeah, with the Allspark cube thing, sphere. The Celestial Orb is explained as part of the Cybertronic thing. This is funny. Grice and Ob also referenced the transformation powers of that for the Changelings in the Deep Space Nine episode. So it's kind of a crossover with that. What happened to Grice and Ob? Well, it went back in space-time, and maybe the Travelers took it, and it got all displaced in the timeline, and the Transformers ended up with it. That would also explain how the Decepticons remade the Constructicons, and how the Autobots eventually remade the Dinobots because they got a hold of the Dinobots after the Constructicons. Yeah, so they had one. They just had a Grice Knob. Yeah. We don't need to explain things like that, though. It's not essential. And yes, the Frankenstein Veritech is the very epitome of a red herring. You just knew that they weren't going to do anything with that Veritech. It's just going to sit there. Stand there. Just knew it was right there. And there's a shot of it near the end where some light hits it. Nothing happens. That was also an homage to the episode where Dan was young, and I did a episode where we did a Transformer crossover or a collaboration. He was a kid, and he was like, oh, I want the city to move its hand, and I want the city to do this and that, and it'd be kind of funny if these other robots get over here and they do something special and whatever. And I put those lines in this story just because I thought it would be funny. No, it's not going to be alive. Stop. Well, I didn't know what I was writing either, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, this one had a script. It had a story. There's 30 of them. They're not really. It's not really Amalgamus Prime and Solus Prime. It's copies of them. They're just using the name. So it's not the original. Anyway, so that's that. Yeah. So there you go. That's all there is. Yeah. So Karda. Yeah, Karda. I guess that's it. You can watch the movie. Watching the making of. This is the making of, and watch the movie, and see the whole thing, all done. Yeah, I think the transformation stuff worked well. I think what I did with it worked well. It's just some of it in the script was kind of a guess, because how are you going to direct a scene where they go in and out of the binary bonding, or that kind of sounds like trans. Binary bonding, that's what it was in Transformers. Awesome. So, and then I thought, oh yeah, this is what happened. So they said they absorbed the other ones. They made more copies of themselves, basically. They duplicated Gemelt and the others in their minds. And does that mean that Gemelt at the end is completely messed up because he had the Doom mind? I think the idea there is that he never was in control. The Doom bot had taken over his mind, and when they took that mind away, he just had his regular mind again. So he's like, oh, that's dumb. Video there. This is Calcat the Calcatster, and this is making of Karda. Yeah, completed principal photography yesterday, and the production is done. To put the movie together, the making of the movie together, there's something seriously wrong with the computer, so we cannot do any Photoshop rendering on it. It will die. I tried. Didn't work. So, new computer, new Photoshop rendering when that comes. So, yeah. That will not interfere with Disneyland in August. It's a different savings account. So, yeah, we're still going to do that in August. This would have been the money for the Johnny trip, which didn't happen this month. It would have been that. It would have been the same amount. So, spent on a computer, because he didn't come. So, yeah. I sent him the toys, though. So, the toys you're looking for. I sent them to him. Now he has them. I'm assuming he's got them by now. It's been a couple of days since the toy show. So Johnny. Mark's Cards is in Vegas. Over at the Flamingo. Making bank in the City of Hope. No, you're going to see the Weird Al concert. I saw something similar last summer. I didn't actually get to. He didn't perform much though when I saw him. He was just talking, which was fine. But yeah, he performed a little bit. He did the accordion in one of the songs. He gets to see the concert. That's different. The Calicat song should go up, but after yeah, but probably not. He didn't write the Calicat song. And also we have some of the cast commenting on the two-car garage stuff. The cast of the Millennials coming. Or one of them. I think it's Emma. Anyway, probably. But yeah, so yeah, under a pseudonym. But yeah, so we have oddly enough in the third person referring to them as these guys, even though her dad's in it. He's in the band. He's one of the singers. And one of the guitarists. That's kind of weird. But yeah, just yeah, so had nothing to do with this or Karda. Just that Karda, and I've got the pictures here. I think I could put the pictures on the drive too. The pictures from the Karda shoot of the characters. But yeah, I'll do that later, I think. Yeah. This thing is acting really stupid. It's like it wants all these updates. It wants Windows 11 desperately. It's already screwed it up once. Yeah, this computer is it's kind of screwed. Yeah. Yeah, and the drivers for the studio version. Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's probably what it is. The graphics card is fried. It will play, but it won't play that. Probably what the weird noises are. And also, yeah, it's a mess. So. Fortunately, most of the files, stuff like that, general stuff, melee, was smartly placed off the hard drive, so that all the extra stuff and all the pieces and all the individual minutia that goes into the computer, all that stuff was on these little separate jump drives, so that you didn't lose any data. It was always on the jump drives. Even putting together a program on the jump drive. It's asking again for updates. The update thing is broken on this computer. It's broken. Yeah. Anyway, Karda. This is the Calicatster on the making of Karda. It looks like we are able to use Photoshop 15 on this other janky about to die computer. It's in a special partition, and it's running in the partition because you bought it years ago, 10, 11 years ago, and yeah, run it in the partition, and then copy the movie, and then move this partition over to the new computer and get it. Yeah, it seems to function. I got the title credits saved. I'll go on to the, they don't have any music or anything, no space effects or anything. But that's fine. Yeah, if you just want to get the raw movie off the thing with all the bells and whistles still attached, go for it. Yeah, so. Silly Kelly is a computer hacker. No, not a computer hacker. No, I'm not a hacker. But I know this older stuff. And I figured, well, if you have the CD, so why don't you just copy the CD if you own it? Should work. Maybe Windows 11 will work with it. Well, we'll see. But yeah, Windows 11 10 and a half was not working with the 2025. We will configure it to 2025, but we'll also hopefully have the older one sitting around. It's the graphics card is not communicating with the studio card. That's what's going on. But hopefully, this one will. We'll be able to do Karda before it dies. This is Calicat the Calicatster. I thought it was going to work, that program, but it's not. So, new computer, new program. The whole thing, it just doesn't. Something's wrong with the processor, and it can't process the video. I could go through all the trouble of cutting and pasting and putting them in there raw, but there's no point in doing that because what if they just don't turn out? So no, I'm not going to do that. That's it. The computer is fried. There's no putting any of the video in any form of Photoshop on this computer. Great. As we do more making of. Okay, this is the closing of the making of Karda. The making of Karda. I managed to. I tried to put Photoshop 15. It didn't take. Some other apps were running in the background, and the computer, the graphics card couldn't handle it. I was able to put Photoshop 13 back on it, and I'm going to attempt to render this as the raw footage. Just the raw footage. You're gonna have to, when you get the new version of the program, you're gonna have to go in there in Windows 11. It will not work on a Windows 11 machine. I tested it. I tried to install it on the laptop, which is a Windows 11 machine. It couldn't take it. So you're gonna have to get something more advanced, and hopefully it'll be able to read it. MP4s are pretty common, though. You should get something that works. But yeah, it doesn't appear to work. So what's left of this computer, gonna put this together about 2:40 in the afternoon. The making of, it's a little over 2 hours for the making of Karda, mainly because the first hour is me rambling on, an hour and a half really. but yeah, leave it in. Sure, why not? I always do these because they're sort of like, oh, you're watching a Blu-ray and it's this special edition, even though it's not Blu-ray, it's MP4. But you're watching a special edition, watching the making of stuff. Not a whole lot of making of stuff, but there's a whole lot of exposition. Also, note that when you go to edit this, you don't need to use making of. You don't need to use the music footage. I cut that out. And you don't need to use mention of the text scroll. I originally wanted to put that in the movie. But then Mark's Cards and I reviewed the text scroll after I made the video saying, oh, I'm going to include the text scroll in there. And no, don't use it. It doesn't work. Just don't use it. It slows the story down to a crawl and makes you want to go, okay, what is the robot talking about? Optimus Prime's voice. Okay, whatever. Don't include it. Just completely have it be the Karda on the planet Rostbacom and there's adventures. Doesn't need an introduction. They explain themselves and why they're there a lot. That's not a bad thing. The story is trying to be. It's kind of an anti-Transformers Lord of the Flies. It's kind of a oh, these little fun little guys go down the planet and they have an adventure. It's yeah. Some of the comparisons earlier on in the making of were like, oh, what are they? Is it like the Smurfs or the Care Bears or something? It's probably more like the Care Bears, actually. Think about it. Yeah, it's probably more like that. It's like a Transformer crossover. It's only a Star Trek crossover in that there are some Cillians in it that show up, and they also have Karda versions of themselves. It was decided late in the game, the last 30 minutes, literally in the last 10 minutes of the scene. We were going to the ending scene and where all they jump into the space bridge and they go out and they disappear. You don't want to have the Dinobots show up because the entire thing has been about the Karda and their missions and their adventures and the entire setup of the final battle, quote unquote, is the non-battle that is the Karda Transtech story. In the story, and they're using the space bridge. They're not supposed to. They're trying to transmutate their minds to activate the remaining 5 of the Karda gestalts, so they can have another gestalt. That's what the bad guy's doing at the end. That's pretty obvious. So that remaining 5 are the ones that show up. Yeah, that makes sense. They appear. They show up to the planet. They go, yay, hi, yeah, sure. And Solus and Amalgamus are new versions of Solus and Amalgamus that they've had connection to in the earlier stuff. So it's not supposed to really be Amalgamus Prime, the father of the combination. That's supposed to really be Solus Prime, the father of the hammer. It's supposed to be a Transformer cog thing that's talking to them, the spark. The spark can split and regenerate and do things. Also the names and the characters and the Cillians apparently go back to their dimension when they copy the 5 of them into the 5 other ones. It's in the story. They copy them into them, so they're there at least twice. Everybody's there at least twice. In the end, they all talk about the lore of the Transformers universe. So it's a Transformer story, but it's their own. It's a protoform story. It is a version, an adaptation of how the protoforms came to be. And yeah, there's a little bit of disparity and continuity issues concerning Beast Wars, but it really has no bearing here. The Beast Wars started in 1996, but they forgot that the Transformers universe had gone to 2006, 2007. So they were all like, oh, it's 2296, it's 300 years later. They forgot when they started Beast Wars, or they weren't told. They figured, oh, it's 300 years later. So that 1996 and 1999 was Beast Machines. Went back and prevented that from happening. in the other universe. Yeah, so that links up. In the story, they sort of push that ahead 6 years, 10 years in the story. So the continuity doesn't matter all that much. It's a multiverse. They're their own thing, and that's why you can't really have. You can eventually have Transformers show up, I suppose, if you do any more of them. But you really shouldn't. It cheapens it. Makes it less interesting if they have to have other robots show up to help them that aren't them. I realize that Night Racer only has a brief appearance at the very, very end as one of the 6 that are rejuvenated. But yeah, they were making a big deal about that early on in the making of. It's like, she's only going to have like one line. Why am I doing that? Anyway, so, but yeah, it's another version of her anyway. It's not the original. But yeah, the Karda were repainted from the painted ones that are shown in there. Actually, slightly repainted because their faces kind of look messed up, janked. In the took the photos of the for the movie poster. As soon as we get everything up and running again, and make sort of raw versions of that again. So I am using an ancient, janky version of Photoshop just to render the raw files. This same janky version of Photoshop that saved Star Trek Chimera in 2013. It's that old. It's the 2013 Photoshop. Wow! For the first hour of that was saved. That 90-minute. That was supposed to be a 90-minute movie, but it ended up being 3 50-minute movies. It ended up being way longer than 90 minutes. But here, this is probably 90 minutes. Here is the making of Karda, and you're watching Karda. Karda Cold Reboot is the name of the actual title. I managed to get the title credits kind of to work in the other program. You can make those as the credits or not use them at all. Don't use the title scroll. It slows it down. Just have it be the Karda. It's the adventures of the Karda. They're nicer than GoBots. They're not quite as janky as Care Bears, but they are similar. Little robots. The Karda. Yes. And thanks to executive producer Dan for getting us another machine. Yes. It's like, But yes, anyways, yeah. Disneyland is still going to happen, by the way. Yeah. We'll see how we're going to cover that. I'm not sure. I mean, you know how the park, YouTube flags everything in the park, even though it's Disney doesn't care. YouTube flags it anyway, so we'll see about that one. Anyway, so, yeah, but that's later on. As for July, I don't know. Should be able to finish the Karda by the end of this period, hopefully, and have it all ready to go, and before the 4th of July. Yeah. And every time I said, oh yeah, we're totally going to do this and that and this and that, camera card dies, and then the computer goes, something weird going on. I don't know. Anyway, so Karda. I have a reboot of the Karda, reminiscing back 40 years to when the original Karda was, nearly 40 years to when the Karda was an early thing, and making an update of it, which I also commented, oh yeah, somebody's going to complain that it's not the OG one. It's not the OG people doing it. It's somebody else that got a hold of it. No, it is the OG one and the OG production company. It's us. We did it. And did it again. We'd catch lightning in a bottle twice. It was us. We were young back then. So, same people. Same studio. Same everything. You can throw Catico in the credits, but that would be ludicrous. It doesn't exist anymore. But yes. Karda. So this is Calicat the Calicaster attempting a 3rd or 4th recording using the newer camera because the old camera is no longer compatible with this Windows 11 computer. It's no longer compatible. Either is the tablet or whatever. So it's no longer compatible, so I can't read any of the film off of the card. MP4 only or above, not MTS. Which means that I can't even read the MTS files that are on the old stuff. Nothing is compatible anymore. So that's great. So we have. Here we have the movie. Fortunately, is MP4. And yeah, it's been taking a while because, I mentioned again and again in other version takes of this. Just don't use the cloud drive. Don't use OneDrive for anything in Windows. Don't use that. You're going to lose files. It's going to eat them. If you have files, don't sync them. Back them up on another drive without using that cloud thing, and delete the cloud thing. Uninstall it. Don't use it. It just eats your files. And that's all we're going to say about that. So we have the movie, Karda, here, and it's ready to go. And here on Juneteenth, and I'm just testing the footage, and if it works, this is the end of the making of, and everything's cool. Yeah, on John night here on June 19th. The movie should be out by the 23rd. I was going to mention other things related to the weekend. There's really PBS camp and stuff, but there's really no point in putting that here because it has nothing to do with Karda. So I'm going to make it real brief. This is a closing to the Karda thing. It's ready. The 90-minute movie is ready. Here it is. So I'm just testing the film real quick and okay. Yeah. Enjoy Karda, the movie. And I've discussed it, so it's fine. Put it up on the second channel, the big one.